Hello and welcome to the PLU segment of the Bloodborne Pathogens training. You have been identified as someone whose work could put you in contact with someone else's blood or bodily fluids, which is why we do this training. We need to make sure that you stay safe. The Labor and Industries presentation that you just viewed refers to some documents that we must make available to you. You will find the PLU Bloodborne Pathogen Exposure Control Plan in the Occupational Health and Safety Manual section of our EH&S website. It is not required reading, but it has a lot of helpful information and more details than this training can cover, so you may find it helpful as an additional resource. It's going to depend on the work that you're doing, but you could potentially find needles in outdoor or indoor public spaces, blood or other substances in areas in which you're cleaning. Any other examples? How about on-the-job injuries? That's why we have gloves in the first aid kits. If you encounter a needle or need to manage other contaminated materials and you aren't sure that you have what you need to do that safely, or it just looks like it might be a lot to handle by yourself, contact your supervisor. Stay at the scene until they arrive and don't handle anything that appears to be contaminated. You want to make sure that other people don't come in contact with those materials either. If you're a student worker, we ask that you always get help from a supervisor for this sort of cleanup. Our campus safety and facilities departments have tiny portable sharps containers for their staff to collect needles found on campus. To pick up the needle or syringe, wear gloves and use tweezers, or something similar like pliers to pick up the syringe by the barrel and very carefully place it in the sharps container, needle first, and then close that container. Take it to a larger sharps container and drop it inside. If you do not have a sharps container handy, a disposable water bottle or other hard-sided container can be used to carry it to a larger sharps container for disposal. Once you've got that needle disposed of safely in a larger sharps container, put the gloves and disposable tweezers in the regular trash and wash your hands. And if you use a tool to pick up the needle, be sure that you disinfect it before handling it further. Regarding sharps containers, there are a few things that you need to know about these to prevent an exposure. You should not transport any containers that are unsealed, overfilled, or leaking. If you encounter that, leave it where it is and contact your supervisor. Contact the Environmental Health and Safety Manager if you have filled sharps containers that you need to remove from your work area. These will be transported to the Wellbeing Services and Resources Center for pickup by our waste management contractor. So let's say you're out and about doing your work and you get cut or poked with a needle or a piece of glass or something else sharp and it broke the skin. The first thing that you do is wash it thoroughly with soap and water. If there's a chance that the object that cut or poked you could have had somebody else's blood on it, that's actually something is taken very seriously. Not only must you report it, but PLU has to report it to the federal government. It's what's known as a sharps injury, and if that happens to you, report it to your supervisor immediately. And it's unlikely, but if you do know whose blood was on that object that cut you, please include that information when you're completing the injury report so we can follow up properly. We also need to offer you the hepatitis B vaccine. There's a really good chance that you have already received it at some point. Many people have. If not, you should be able to receive it from your doctor or other healthcare provider, and PLU will cover the costs associated with getting it. If you do not want to get the vaccine now, please contact the EH&S manager for more information about how to proceed. If this is your first time taking this presentation, then there's a form that you'll need to complete at the conclusion. You'll need to fill out one section, pick what makes the most sense for you. There's a section where you can enter the dates of your vaccinations, if you know them or have easy access to that information. There's also a section where you can decline the vaccine. That's the easiest one to complete, and you can decline it now and ask for it at any time down the road while you're working here in this sort of job. You will receive this in your email after completing this course. Please complete it and send it to the EH&S manager. This completes your annual Bloodborne Pathogens training, but we also want to make sure that you aren't left with any questions. If you do have questions, please contact your supervisor or me, your EH&S manager, and we'll all be happy to answer them. Here's my contact information. Thank you for continuing to keep PLU a safe place to work.